Just 3 games separate the 7 spot through the 10 spots, so the play-in spots in the Eastern Conference, and only 5 games separate the 4 seed from the 11 seed in the West. And the 11 seed, of course, is not a seed at all because it means you've missed the play-in entirely and you're done for the year. So, in other words, there's a lot to play for in the final week. We thought we'd go through some of the important games over the final home stretch and see about the implications for these. And we'll start with Sunday, the 76ers and the Bucks in Milwaukee.
You know, it's just a couple weeks ago, Milwaukee had this big lead in the East, and all of a sudden, it's over. Matt, it's not over. If you look at the Milwaukee Bucks and remaining the schedule, they may have to win out just to be comfortable. I know they still have a lead, but it's shrinking. All of a sudden, you have the Sixers right on their tail. You have the Celtics right on their tail. So this is going to be a big game with the Sixers and also MVP implications for Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid, perhaps Giannis Antetokounmpo. Voters are still considering him at least. All eyes will be on those games. Philadelphia, part of the second game we have on tap as well. That's Tuesday, Celtics and 76ers. And Sam, that could very easily become a second-round matchup unless either of those teams can do what Sean just talked about and overtake Milwaukee.
Well, if you're Philadelphia, it's sitting there right there for you. You're playing the teams ahead of you that you need to beat. Also, but if you're the Celtics, you're right there. And the whooping they just put on Milwaukee in Milwaukee, I saw that game. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was seeing something different. And then you look at the Celtics. I'm going to take the Celtics, man. Look, when you look at Jaylen Brown and Tatum, those bookend forwards, no one has a matchup for them. You can slow one of them down, but you can't completely stop both of them. Their foot speed on the perimeter is what separates them from a lot of teams. They can break you down. And when I look at the Bucks, they can't guard on the perimeter. They have slow feet. They can't keep people in front of them, even though they got Giannis and Brook Lopez anchoring that defense at the rim. Look, once I get into the paint and start spraying the ball and make people start rotating and moving, that's what the Celtics do the best. I can't see Philadelphia stopping them because Jaylen Brown and Tatum are just too big and too athletic. Look, and they just throw bodies at Joel Embiid. So I'm looking at this, man, and the Celtics right now are sitting prime because they can catch Milwaukee for that number 1 spot, or sitting there, they've proven they can beat both Philly and Milwaukee and beat them on their floor.
All right, Wednesday in Los Angeles, Lakers and Clippers, 2 teams in very different situations because of what's happened over the last couple of months.
2 words, Russell Westbrook. That's a little spicy there. So Russ gets another crack at the Lakers. Well, his first crack at the Lakers. So that's an important game because it has seeding implications. Now, if you finish in the top 6, obviously you're guaranteed a playoff spot. So both of those teams might be in contention for that top 6 spot.
Okay, Thursday in Phoenix, Nuggets and Suns. The Suns team that just got Kevin Durant back in the lineup.
Yeah, I look at this, and for the Nuggets has been the best team in the Western Conference. No one's afraid of them. Why? Their defense, especially their rim protection. As good as the Joker been, he does not protect the rim well. So when you look at Phoenix, Kevin Durant back, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, this is the team that everybody's picking to come out the West. Why? Because how do you match up with them? I don't know if Phoenix has the depth, but when you look at their starting lineup, is as good as anybody. And that guy right there, Kevin Durant, my only question for Denver, with Michael Porter and others, the forwards, do they have enough to slow Durant down, to slow him down? If they can't slow him down, I can't see Denver beating this Phoenix Sun team. They're just too explosive offensively, and Ayton does enough to keep the Joker busy and to keep him working to where he just can't dominate that position.
Does anybody have enough to slow him down? That could be a conference semifinal preview. All right, next up, Friday night in Sacramento. There's been a lot of beam lighting there. They're all excited. They're back in the postseason. They get the Warriors, a potential first-round opponent.
Before the season, you probably would have said the Warriors would be number 3, maybe in the West, and Sacramento might be fighting for a playoff spot. Well, the roles have reversed. The Kings have had such a great season for them. Considering where they've been, making the playoffs, Mike Brown, a former Kings assistant coach, coming in. You could argue that Mike Brown leaving the Warriors kind of hurt their defense because he was in charge of their defense, and the Warriors hadn't been playing very good defense. But, De'Aaron Fox, a clutch player. Just the way they've really rallied around that city. This is a statement game for the Kings, and I know they've already made their statement all season, but to beat the Warriors in the last week of the season, I think that'd be pretty big.
Mike Brown may have hurt the Warriors defense. Paradoxically, hasn't helped the Kings defense. Their offense
Yeah, but he learned how to coach offense.
Yes, he
Their
did.
offense is
That could be a
lights out.
first-round matchup there. And then Sunday, final day of the regular season, the 9th of April, Pelicans and the Timberwolves.
Man, I love this matchup, and I love the Timberwolves for this reason. When you look at their talent, they have size, they have everything. The question is, can they put it all together at the right time? And then you look at the Pelicans. Can they get Zion Williamson back at any point during this season to help bolster that offense? Because, hey, man, they've been hanging around. Brandon Ingram is playing lights-out basketball, but that guy's the key. If he can get back, people forget New Orleans was the number 1 seed early in the season, had the best record in the West. But I look at the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Edwards. Is there enough space on the floor? And I'm going to say this. You do not have to play Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert in the fourth quarter on the floor together. This is the playoffs. I know about they have to be on the floor. No, you have to win.
Yeah.
You have to give your team the best chance to win. And if you have to take Rudy Gobert out the last 5 or 6 minutes and play offense, defense, then do that. Don't get caught up into they both have to be on the floor because you made that trade and gave up all those assets. You made that trade to make you a better team to win in the playoffs and advance. Do what you have to do, coach. 12 assists, man. You just look at it. It was just too easy. First of all, Tim Hardaway Jr. is not a physical enough defender to deal with Jimmy Butler. And then right here, just look at Jimmy. Just take his time and just work the floor. Now, he sees the double team, but again, he's just playing a little two-man game with Tyler Hero. And even if he misses the shot, he's still in there for the rebound. Look at him right here. Again, just taking his time again. Luka's guarding him, so you already know what the problem is. And is Power going to keep backing up till he gets Zeller in the rim for an easy layup? And then here's Jimmy Butler again, just working the defender, playing basketball at his pace. Again, gets the defense up off his feet. He just does what he wants. When you can score at all 3 levels, and Jimmy Butler, the thing that's weird to me, Sean, he's not a good three-point shooter. He don't even really take threes, but teams don't force him out and make him work to get to his spots. They let him catch it in his spots. And when you let a great player catch it in his comfort zone, you're just at their mercy.
Is there an argument to be made that because the Heat are a better defensive team than offensive team, because they're used to playing a slower pace, that they could be more dangerous than maybe we think in the playoffs?
They could, and my firm belief is we haven't seen the best Miami Heat this season. Could that happen in the playoffs? Possibly. They have a very easy remaining schedule. They've got Detroit, Philly, Washington, and Orlando. At worst, they're going to probably land in that seven spot. In the play-in situation, they may get top 6, probably not. But if they're healthy, they get Bam back. You saw what Jimmy Butler can do when he's healthy and he's got the ball. I just think we haven't seen the best Miami Heat team. And you know about this team in the playoffs. They've always showed up and played well.
Well, and let's, when you think about Miami, you think about a franchise that calibrates itself for the postseason, right?
Yeah,
They've been through this before.
Yeah.
They've been through a bunch of finals. They have championship pedigree. They have that experience. To a large degree, I don't think they care much about the regular season.
Yeah.
They're trying to set up for the next couple of weeks.
That's
we'll see if
true,
that
but you don't
plays
want to
out.
start your championship aspiration from the play-in.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
They're not in an ideal position.
I promise
for sure.
you that wasn't their goal, to try to win a championship from the play-in.
Yeah. Still in a much better spot than the Dallas Mavericks, who lose more ground to the field tonight with the loss. They're 6th in 7 games, and they are sitting 11th now, a full game back of the Oklahoma City
That
Thunder.
fork?
You're putting it in them?
You start sticking it in them. Look at where they stand right now. Look at what they're going to have to do. They're about to get caught by Utah. If Utah catch you and pass you, you have no chance of getting to the play-in. And Utah not even trying at this point to get in. And OKC, every time you think OKC is making that next step, they have a bad loss. But I just can't see them leapfrogging OKC, Minnesota, and the Pelicans. It's just not going to happen.
Dallas gave up 76 in the first half tonight. They lose it in Miami. Here's head coach Jason Kidd.
Yeah, I think when you look at tonight's game, we get off to a good start. Game of runs, we didn't end the first the right way, and we kind of stalled out at 31, but they kept going. So our defense was non-existent. We couldn't get stops. But I thought again in the second we go on a run. Offensively, we, as you brought up, we shoot 61%. So it wasn't the offensive side of the ball; it was the defensive side of trying to get stops. If we did, we would throw it away. So we just got to do a better job of taking care of the ball after we do get the stop. But again, when you look at the three guys, Timmy, Kai, and Luka, offensively they were great. They kept us in the ball game. We just didn't get any production from the bench tonight.
Did you think the defensive effort was good enough?
Well, I think at times it was good. To start the half, start the first and start the half, I thought it was at a high level. We got stops, we made shots, we shared the ball, but in between there, we weren't connected, we weren't getting stops. You look at the three, we couldn't take the three away. Their three-point shooters were making them, and then if we couldn't get the rebound, they were getting another look at it. And so in this league, when you give up second or third opportunities, they're going to make them, and they did that tonight. As we talked about, with Bam out, we said that, Jimmy was going to, control the game, and he did that tonight.
Why is the effort so consistent and inconsistent over the past few games when it's been in these most important situations?
Well, I think when you look at, a lot of these guys haven't been in this situation, so they're learning on the fly of what it means and how it feels to have to go out there to win. And most of these guys, when you talk about Josh, Maxey, you look at, Hardy, these guys are young, and they haven't been in must-win situations. And so they're learning what it means and what it means to take care of the ball, but also what it means to play defense. And tonight we scored enough points, but we didn't get any stops.
Coach, how do you motivate your team with all games in front of you, like to be the playing now? How do you find the motivation for it?
Yeah, you look at what's at stake. What do you want to continue your season? As players, you control your energy and effort. The responsibility of going out there and playing hard for one another is at a high level right now, and unfortunately, we've just been inconsistent with that.
Given that the two teams immediately ahead of you own the tiebreaker against you guys, do you feel like you're going to need to win?
We got to start with just focusing on Atlanta. We got to turn the page and focus on Atlanta and figure out to get a win there. We can't worry about winning out. That's a little bit too advanced. We got to just stay what's in front of us, and that's Atlanta tomorrow.
Coach, as you look ahead to the next game, what is your message to your guys as you take it one game at a time and you look to keep your head up?
Yeah, I think when you talk about just play your role, do the best that you can. Understanding effort and energy is the one thing you can control. Make or miss shots is something that comes and goes. You can't make them all, but if you put your energy in the right place, good things will happen. And so that's all we got to focus on. We're getting great looks. Just understanding our defense has to be better than what it was this evening.
JaVale played the last couple games but didn't check in tonight. What were your thoughts on the center rotation and how they executed tonight?
Yeah, I thought the centers were good. You look at Zeller, had a really good game for them. He was probably the X factor. But looking at Maxey and C. Wood and DP going with that group, we felt that was our best chance to win tonight.
There was a double team, I think, early in the fourth quarter on Tyler Hero that led to a corner three. What were your thoughts on the double team execution in this kind of in that stretch? Yeah,
it was a stretch where they were exhausted and understanding we weren't going to let Hero play against our bigs to put the bigs at the advantage. So we felt we had to hit. We hit. We gave up an open three in the corner. Just understanding the gamble of when we do hit, it puts a strain on our defense because you got to give a little bit more. And we just didn't do that tonight. Understanding time and score. Again, we talked about runs. We had it to 6. And then they take it to 11. We take the timeout. And then understanding that we got back into the game. But you got to play perfect. And we just didn't play perfect. We turned the ball over when we got stops or we missed open shots. And you got to be able to deliver when you're behind. And we just didn't do that tonight.
Over the last few clutch losses, I guess you could describe them as, Kyrie Irving, I think he spent a lot of time in the corner, I guess you could say. What are your thoughts on kind of how the offense in those situations is kind of integrating him and kind of developing?
Yeah, I think when you have those type of players, when you have Luka's going and putting Kai in the corner just to, create space. He's one that will create space. He's patient enough to understand the ball will find him at times. And so I thought with Luka and Maxi, or Luka and DP in the pick and roll, or Timmy, it created a problem for the defense, and understanding that Luka was great getting downhill layups, or he created open shots. So sometimes you use great players for gravity and creating space, and that's what Kai did there late. Thanks.
Mavericks will be in Atlanta here tomorrow, and then they finish out their season with 3 at home. They'll probably need to win, realistically, 3 of those 4 games to have a shot at the play-in. They sit 11th right now. More coming up here, including a wild week ahead of the regular season, which ends 1 week from tomorrow.